تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون. صدق الله العظيم. Respected brothers and my young friends, we started the tafsir of Surah Yasin 2 weeks ago, and we mentioned the fazail and the virtues of Surah Yasin. And amongst the fazilat, one fazilat that was missed out is that Surah Yasin should be recited before a person who is about to die, before a person who is in the last moments of his life. Ulama mentioned that one reason for this is that in Surah Yasin there are glad tidings of Jannah. There is mention of how a person will be received, Salamun qawlan min Rabbir Rahim, that the salam will take place from Allah Azza wa Jalla, etc. There's mention of Jannah. So when a person who is about to die hears these words, then inshallah his ruh will start to become happy and he will become eager to part this world and go towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when the ruh becomes happy to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then likewise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also becomes very happy in meeting that person. So that's why ulama say that when a person is about to die, Surah Yasin Sharif should be recited before him, because number one, it will ease the pangs of death, and number two, the person will start to become eager in his journey to the hereafter. Anyway, this surah, the Surah Yasin, is a surah which begins with Yasin, which is from amongst the huruf muqatta'at. In the entire Quran Sharif, there are 114 surahs. And out of the 114 surahs, 29 surahs start with huruf muqatta'at. What are huruf muqatta'at? Huruf muqatta'at are those surahs that start with letters. And why are these letters bought, and why is it called huruf muqatta'at? So muqatta'at comes from qatta'a yuqatti'u. So qatta'a yaqti'u means to cut, and qatta'a yuqatti'u means to divide and separate. So because these words at the beginning of the surahs are written as whole, alif lam mim is written as a whole, alif lam ra is written as a whole, but they are recited as individual letters. Nobody recites them as alam or alar or tasa or yasa. It's read as yasin. The letters are separated, although they are written together. And throughout the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has both these hurufs in different surahs. In some surahs there's only one letter, qaf, noon, sad, etc. In some surahs 2 letters are mentioned, tasin, yasin, taha. Some surahs start with 3, tasin, mim, alif lam mim, alif lam ra. Some surahs start with 4, alif lam mim ra, alif lam mim sad. And 2 surahs start with 5 letters, ha mim ain sin qaf, and kaf ha ya ain sad. So these are all the different surahs that start with the huruf muqatta'at. Majority of the scholars say that the meaning of these letters, what is the tafsir of these letters, what is the meaning of these letters? If you look in the books of tafsir, majority of ulama say that Allahu a'lamu bi muradih. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what they mean. Nobody knows what they mean. Hatta ki Hazrat Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, Hazrat Ali radiyallahu anhu also held the same opinion, that the meaning of these huruf muqatta'at are only exclusive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they did not attempt to discover, or they did not attempt to go down the route of trying to unveil what it meant. In fact, they remained silent because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself did not make or give any interpretation of these words. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not give any interpretation and the ummah stayed unaware of the meaning, that means that by staying unaware will not affect your deen, will not make a deficiency in your deen. In fact, in Al-Itqan, Allama As-Suyuti mentions that out of the rules of the ulama, one rule is abhimu ma abhamahullah. That what is vague, that what is ambiguous, that which is not clear, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not explained, leave it as it is. Don't go trying to solve it, and don't try to break the code. So a lot of ulama say that the interpretation and the meaning of these words are exclusive by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some ulama have gone down the route of trying to unveil the meaning and trying to put a meaning to these words, and they've said alif lam mim, for example, means alif means ahad, Allah's sifat, Lam means latif, mim means majd. Some say alif lam ra. Alif means again Allah ahad. Lam means latif, ra means rahim. But they do not say this is exactly a meaning. They say that according to our knowledge and according to our strength, we think this is what it means. But what it really means, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. And so from this, they say that it is not the definite meaning. But Hazrat Mufti Shafi Sahab from his writings, and Hazrat Mawlana Shabir Ahmad Uthmai Rahmatullahi, who were great alims of the subcontinent, Hazrat Mufti Shabir Ahmad Uthmai Rahmatullahi mentions in the explanation he notes in Alif Lam Mim Dhalika Kitab, he mentions that the knowledge of these huruf muqattat were exclusive with Allah and His Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam knew, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala told him, but this was a secret between Allah and His Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is a Habib Mahbub secret. Just like the king and his chief minister has secrets, amongst the security institute, the officers, the FBI, Jobio, they have secret codes. In the same way, this was a secret coding between Allah and His Rasul, and we don't need to know. Because when they say that Allah and His Rasul knew, then this puts to rest a misconception or a misunderstanding that people could bring into minds. What's the misconception? Some people could say, and some people have said in the past, that if the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, this kitab has no doubt inside it. And it is clear, it is a clear-cut kitab, Quranul Mubin, it is bilkul wazi, it is clear. So if it is clear, then why do we not know what Alif Lam Mim means? So, Hazrat Mufti, from what they have said, that Allah and His Rasul knows, that means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told Rasulullah the meaning, but the creation does not need to know. As for the creation, they need to know that when you recite Alif Lam Mim, you will definitely be rewarded. You will definitely be rewarded. Now, how much reward will you get? In the hadith, as we hear time and time again in Fazail Amal, as Shaykh Zakir, Hazrat Shaykh Zakir Rahmatullah has mentioned, that for each letter you will get 10 rewards. And ulama say that Alif Lam Mim, which has been mentioned in the hadith, is not this Alif Lam Mim. It is Alam Tara Kaifa. Because when you read Alif Lam Mim, you say Alam. You don't. But when you read Alif Lam Mim, you read Alif. And to do Ada of Alif, you have to say A, Lam, and Fa. So to do Ada of Alif, you have to use 3 letters. Alif, Lam, and Fa. To do Ada of Lam, you have to read Lam, Alif, and a Mim. And the Mim, you have to read Mim, Ya, Mim. So in reality, you read 9 letters. So by reading Alif Lam Mim, you get 90 rewards. So this for us is sufficient. And some ulama say that for us, just knowing that Rasulullah knew the meaning and we will get rewarded, this is a test of our iman. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to tell us, yes, you understand some ayats of the Quran. You understand Aqimis Salata, pray namaz. You understand that Ya alladhina kulu min at-tayyibat, that eat from the good things. So those things that you understand, you will act upon. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to test this, that those things that you don't understand, will you also accept that to be the word of Allah? Or will you say, no, we don't believe this? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to test the iman of His believers, that how strong is your iman? Do you only act on what you understand? Or do you also act on what you don't understand? And this is the true essence of a believer, that whatever he understands or whatever he doesn't understand, he believes in everything. And from the reward we can understand that also, that by reciting you get reward. And again, sometimes nowadays, sometimes some people say that what's the use reciting the Quran if you don't understand it? The whole purpose of the Quran is guidance. And you have people saying this, and you have intellectuals saying this, that what's the use reading the Quran day and night? You're reading 5 paras, 7 paras, but you don't understand one word. What's the use of reading the Quran? I think one person told me once in Ramzan that I don't pray much of the Quran. I only read Surah Kahf the whole Ramzan, but I read it with understanding. You guys pray so many paras, but you don't understand. It's better I read what Surah Kahf, I understand what's the meaning. So, ulama say this is wrong. To pray the Quran itself has its merits, it has its reward. Just to pray Quran, if some people go to the extent of saying, what's the use making small children do nazra and do hibs at the age of 8 and 9 when they don't even understand the word? No. In fact, to read the Quran is an objective. Is a purpose of deen. You will get rewarded. In fact, it was a duty and responsibility of Rasulullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the 4 duties and the 4 responsibilities of Rasulullah. And what were they? Yatlu alayhim ayatihi. Number one is, he will recite the ayahs of the Quran. He will pray to the ummah. Because when Rasulullah prays the Quran, the ummah will understand how to pray the Quran. If Rasulullah did not pray Alif Lam Mim, the ummah would have said Alam. If Rasulullah did not pray Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad, the ummah would have said Kahaya As. Or you have said yes for Yasin. But Rasulullah recited it, so the ummah knows how to recite. And this was one of his duties, to recite the Quran. The second duty was Yatlu alayhim ayatihi وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ. The second was وَيُعَلِّمُهُ. He will teach the kitab. So to teach the kitab and to understand the kitab, where we sit in Dars al-Quran, we understand, we listen to tafsir, we read the books of tafsir, that is a separate duty. That is a separate stage. The third is hikmah. Rasul will teach hikmat, hadith, he will teach wisdom to people. And وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. The first responsibility Rasul had was tazkiyah of people, to purify people, to show them how to do tazkiyah of their hearts. So these were all four responsibilities, and the first responsibility was yatlu alim ayati, to recite the Quran. So those people who say that to recite the Quran without knowing there's no benefit, in fact, it is not empty of any benefit. In fact, it is filled with benefit, it is filled with nuraniyat and spirituality. So those people who say that if you don't pray the Quran, what's the use? If you don't understand the Quran, what's the use praying 10 paras, 8 paras? You rather pray just Qul Allah and understand the meaning. That is wrong. No, pray as much Quran as you can, because that is also a responsibility. And at the same time, put effort in trying to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to you. That is a separate responsibility. So anyway, when we understand the Quran, and when we understand these, we understand Hazrat in Tafsir Kabir, the author mentions that when a person acts upon the ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowing, this is pure abdiyat, this is pure ibadat. And then he gives the example that imagine a master tells his slave that move these stones, and he doesn't tell him the reason, and the slave moves all the stones from here to there. What is this? This is complete obedience. But what if the master told him that move these stones because there's treasure for you underneath? So he will move the stones. But has he moved it out of obedience for the master, or has he moved it out of his ulterior motives? He had a motive that if I move it, I will get treasure. So sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through his ahkam, there are different types of ahkam. In some ahkam, there is a hikmat behind it. We understand the hikmat. Pray namaz, we understand that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 24/7, throughout the whole day, throughout our lives, whilst we're sleeping, whilst we're awake, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bestowing us, raining upon us, ni'mats upon ni'mats. So we have to be grateful to him. We have to show our gratitude. And one way is through namaz. But Fajr 2 rakats, Maghrib 3 rakats, Isha 4 rakats. Why different rakats? Why different times? We don't know this. This is Allah's hikmat. But what's our duty? That do it. You've been told do it. Sami'na wa ata'na. This is a true believer. So ulama say that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us Alif Lam Mim, we don't understand. But what do we say? Sami'na wa ata'na. We understood and we have accepted. These are the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are not going to argue whether we know the meaning or we don't know the meaning. And where he says that Aqimis Salah, pray namaz, we understood the meaning, we will fulfill it. Whether we understand or we don't understand. What's our duty as believers? To fulfill the ahkam. It's like, and when a person does not understand and he fulfills the ahkam, in fact this is pure worship. One person is told, "Bhai, pray Ishaq namaz." But he's not told any reason. And he prays Ishaq namaz. Why is he praying Ishaq namaz for? He is purely doing it because of reward and for Allah's sake. But imagine some people are told, an alim came and he said, "Okay, bhai, youngsters, shall I give you a nuskha? If you pray Ishraq namaz, then Allah will give you a very good spouse. And you'll get married very quickly." Now you see 10 youth praying Ishraq namaz. Could there be a doubt that this is pure ibadat or this has got ulterior motive? Now they are praying Ishraq namaz, but it's possible they are doing it for what reason? To please Allah. Or it could also be that they're doing it to get a spouse. So if they're doing it to get a spouse, is this 100% pure ibadat? This is not 100%. It is ibadat, but not 100%. So in the same way, Allama Jarir Tabri Ghaliban, he mentioned in his tafsir that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not mention the wisdom behind something and a person carries it out, then this shows that he is doing it purely and solely for whose sake? For Allah's sake, and this is pure ibadat, pure worship. So anyway, from this, we understand Allama Ibn Kathir rahmatullah mentions that why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring huruf muqatta'at in the beginning of surahs? Why was it Alif Lam Mim Taha? Allama Ibn Kathir rahmatullah mentions in his tafsir that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought these letters to challenge the mushriks of Makkah, to show them what? That this Quran is made up from these same letters. It is made from Alif, it is made from Lam, it is made from Ta, it is made from Ha, it is made from Ya, and from Sin and from Qaf. I have made this whole Quran from these same letters that you use daily. Now my challenge is make one ayat. Fa'tu bi suratin min mithli, bring one surah. And then Allah subhanahu goes to challenge them. If you can't make one surah, bring one ayat. Over 1400 years have passed. Has anybody been able to bring even one ayat in comparison of the Quran? Nobody. Whoever brought it has failed. whoever has bought anything, in fact, they have not even been able to raise their pens, but whoever even tried it, he became a mockery. And there was a person in the time of Rasulullah, or after Rasulullah, he tried to make some ayats. And he tried to do al-fil, he made al-qariya, he made al-fil, mal-fil, and everyone laughed at him. What's this? This makes no sense. So, Allah Ibn Kathir mentions that what's the reason of huruf muqatta'at? He says one reason was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is challenging the mushriks. Okay, this is the word of Allah. I have revealed it to my Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And to prove this, I am telling you that bring a surat, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it even easier. Bring an ayat, and He makes it even easier. That not on your own, get together with all your friends, bring all your friends, and try to make one ayat. And what Allah says, for that you will never be able to bring. وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا, you will never be able to bring it. You will never be able to bring it. Why did Allah make this challenge? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that never will it happen. Till the day of Qiyamah, nobody will be able to bring even an ayat in comparison to a Quran Sharif. So anyway, these are the few things that ulama have mentioned in regards to huruf muqatta'at. As for Yasin itself, so the word Yasin, Ibn al-Jawzi rahmatullahi mentions that Yasin is amongst the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Taha, Yasin, Tasin. Some ulama say that these are the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Malik rahmatullahi also holds the same opinion, that Yasin is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So according to Imam Malik rahmatullahi, you can't keep the name Yasin because it is the name of Allah. And why can't you keep it Yasin? Why can you not keep it? Because we do not know what Yasin means. Because there are some names of Allah which are exclusive to Allah, like Razik, the sustainer, Khalik, the creator. So a human can't keep his name Razik, he can't keep his name Khalik. If he wants to keep that name, what does he have to do? He has to keep it Abdul Khalik, or he has to keep it Abdul Razik. But Imam Malik says, we don't know what Yasin means. Yasin could mean Razik. So now if you call yourself Yasin, then you're calling yourself a sustainer, for example. You can't do this. But other ulama say that no, Yasin is not the name of Allah. In fact, it is huruf muqatta'at. And if you want to keep that name, you can keep that name. And hence, some other ulama say that you can keep the name Yasin. So this is just a few points, introduction to, in regards to huruf muqatta'at. We've also mentioned them before. There are other wisdom and other meanings behind this, but inshallah we'll keep it till there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to understand and to carry out all those things, whether we understand, whether we don't understand, whether the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala falls into our understanding, comes into our comprehension, or it doesn't come into our comprehension. We've been told, what's our job? Sami'na wa ta'ana. That's why the Shair says, Muhammad ka kaha hua mano, ye hai ain iman. That whatever manna, this is iman. Whatever Rasulullah said, that Rasulullah said about the believers, that their qabr is a bag inside. So now if you see a fire on top of the qabr, then our iman is, there's a fire on top, but what's inside? A garden. And you see a disbeliever's qabr, and there's flowers, a garden on top. But our iman is what's inside there? Jaha baage andar mein aag, or jaha aage andar mein baag. Rasulullah told us, we listen. Unka kaha hua man, ye hai ain iman. So for us, whatever injunctions come our way, whether it fits into our mind, it doesn't fit, whether the wisdom comes into our mind, we should never be thinking, okay, what's the wisdom behind this? Nowadays, especially youngsters, they come with this mindset, okay, why? What's the reason? Why? We need to know why. No. In deen, sami'na wa ta'ana. You've been told, just listen and accept. Don't go down the route of why. Because this is detrimental. This will make a person weak. What's our duty? Just like a slave, he's been told by the master, move all these stones from here to there. He moves them. Then he says, move them from there to there. You would ask why. My master told me, but I have to do it. Whether I understand or I don't understand, he told me move them from there to there, so I moved them. Then he told me move them from there to there. I said, my duty is to obey, his duty is to command. Allah's duty is to command us, our duty is to obey. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us his muti and from our servants. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a true understanding of the Quran. Subhanallah, subhanallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka.